They can be carefree, but I have to work all day. She doesn't have to worry about money, but I have to worry about money. She looks fabulous all the time and I have to work at it. Oftentimes, we are resentful about the things that other people have that we want. That somewhere in your mind, you're telling yourself it's not okay to want. In this video, we're going to talk about 3 ways to stop being resentful. My name is Joe Hudson. I'm a former venture capitalist, and now I'm a coach to some of the most notable names in Silicon Valley. Before I go into the 3 ways, if you're watching this video, it means that there's something in you that knows that you're resentful from time to time and that you don't want to be. And it makes a lot of sense that you don't want to be resentful, because when you are resentful, it's a disempowering feeling. It makes you feel like you're not actually in control of your own life. Resentment builds, it destroys relationships, but most importantly, it destroys the relationship you have with yourself. Because it tells yourself that, hey, I can't have what I want. The most I can do is just resent the other person for having what they have or doing what they want to do. So now let's get into the 3 ways that you can stop being resentful. So oftentimes, resentment is built because there's anger that's unexpressed. Now, anger has an incredibly bad reputation in our society because a lot of people use anger as a way of controlling other people. But before anger is a way of controlling other people, it is a sign of care. We do not get angry over anything that we don't care about, right? Like, you wouldn't get angry if somebody came up to you and said, hey, the sky is pink and it was blue. You'd be like, oh, yeah, like, whatever, I don't care. It wouldn't make you all upset. But if somebody came to you and said, yeah, your daughter is a blah, 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 or your husband is blah, you care about that, and so you're going to get angry. So there's no place where you get angry where there isn't some care. The other thing about anger, when you sense it, is that it's telling you that there's a boundary that you need to draw. It's telling you that there's something that doesn't work for you that you don't want to be living with anymore. And so drawing that boundary is an incredibly important thing. So resentment is a sign of that anger, which is a sign of a boundary. As an example, maybe every day your husband comes home or your wife comes home and they just complain about their day. And you want to come home and just have like 20 minutes of peace before they start complaining about their day. And so you're resentful that they just keep on coming in and not paying attention to what you want. It's a great time for a boundary where you can just say, hey, sweetheart, I need 20 minutes to relax before I hear about your day. It's just that simple. We have a great podcast on boundaries that talks about all the ways to do them. And if you want to listen to it, it's an easy podcast to find. It's called Art of Accomplishment. So drawing boundaries is one of the best ways to stop feeling resentful. And the second is to ask for what you want. So oftentimes we are resentful about the things that other people have that we want. That somewhere in your mind, you're telling yourself it's not okay to want. It's not okay to want it, but you do want it. So it doesn't really matter if it's okay or not okay. It's just simply about learning to ask for the thing that you want and allowing yourself to have the things that you want. This doesn't mean that you're going to get everything that you want. In fact, it's not really important if you get everything that you want. What's important is that you've learned to ask for what you want, because the asking is what tells you that it's okay to want it. And then the resentment goes away. It's when you're not okay to want something that you actually want. That's where the resentment can breed. That's where the resentment builds. So a great story about this is that my daughter had a dear friend, and the dear friend's father had a heart attack. And my daughter, out of the care of her heart, because she wanted to, started to really help the daughter of the man who had a heart attack. And so she was there every evening, helping her out. They were both teenagers, and she was helping her out, being there for her. And one day she came home and I saw the resentment. I saw that she started getting tired of doing it, and she felt horrible about it because what she wanted was to not take care of her. And so I said, hey, babe, what do you want? She goes, I want a break for a while. I said, hey, great. I want you to have a break for a while. And I bet your friend wants you to have a break too. So she called up her friend. She said, hey, I want a break for a while. And her friend's like, great, I want you to have a break for a while. She had a break. I think it was like 2-3 days, and boom, she was back at it, helping out her friend whose father had a heart attack. It's just as simple as asking for what you want. So the third way of letting go of your resentment is a strange one. It is admire what you crave in others. So this one is kind of a head turner. So oftentimes we crave something that somebody else has, and since they have it, we're resentful. This kind of resentment often happens in marriages. And so maybe one person is like, hey, I really resent the fact that you get to work all the time and feel powerful. And the other person says, oh, I resent the fact that you get to be home all the time and really show care in your work and you don't have to be all hard and strong. And that just breeds this resentment back and forth in a marriage. Instead, an easy fix is to say, hey, I really admire how you go out into the world every day and make things happen for us. And the other person saying, hey, I really admire how much you get to be home and just nurture and take care of everything for the family. Because what's actually happening there is it's not that you don't want them to have it, it's that you want to have it. And when you admire something in somebody, you're giving yourself permission to have it, but you're also satisfying that itch in you. It's not a direct satisfaction, but there's this great satisfaction where you just go, oh, so try it out for a second. Really take something that you resent somebody for having, and then just see the admiration, experience the admiration, because if you resent it, you admire it, and then just feel the admiration and see what it does to your resentment. It just makes it fade away. It also makes it much more likely that you get to have the thing that you admire. Because when you admire something, it's an invitation. Whereas if you resent it, it is a rejection of the thing itself. Emotionally, you are rejecting the thing. So recently I was in this little private conference, and it was full of people in a business that was similar to mine. And the person who organized it just was so generous with his admiration. Every single person that he interacted with, you just saw him openly admire things in the other people. And because of that, they all shared those gifts. They all taught him how to do it. And his business was growing because of it. But not only that, he had all these people in a room together, all helping each other, all because of his admiration. And I realized to myself at that moment, like, well, I'm a little stingy with my admiration. What does it feel like to actually be really generous with my admiration? And when I started being generous with my admiration, all of a sudden other folks started opening up and they started handing me their gifts. They were like, oh, you admire this. Let me share with you how that happened, how that was created. And then I could learn from that and I could get that. And it was such a mind blow for me that it was as simple as just being generous with your admiration. All right, if you like the video, please hit subscribe. If you want us to talk about something in a future video, please write it in the comments, and otherwise, feel free to watch the next video.